All right. Tom?
How are you doing and your family doing since what occurred over the weekend? And what is your reaction to some court documents suggesting that the Israel-Palestine conflict might have had something to do with the motivations of the arsonist?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I appreciate you asking about how we're doing. It's obviously been a challenge. My focus has been on being a good dad, a good husband, and a good governor, in that order. And just trying our best to answer our kids' questions, be honest with them, tell them what we know, and also tell them what we don't know. And to let them know that they're safe and they're going to be okay. And it's okay to feel a lot of different things. And it's okay to not be okay also. So Laura and I have just tried to be good parents through this process. And we've gotten a lot of just unbelievably warm wishes from people and prayers from people of all different faiths that have really sustained us and lifted our spirits. So much of the work that I do every day, so much of the news that you all cover, sadly is bad news, right? And yet in these days following the bad news, what Lori and I have experienced is just an outpouring of positivity and warmth from so many people that has really filled us up and has strengthened us. And I think has strengthened our kids as well. So we appreciate the wishes. I can tell you I've heard from every former living governor of Pennsylvania. Lori's heard from the first ladies. I've heard from dozens of governors across the country. So many lawmakers in Pennsylvania, obviously people of both parties, and just so many Pennsylvanians reaching out, and it has really strengthened us and it's lifted our spirits. As for the other part of your question, I said on Sunday, I think it may, Tom, have been in response to a question you asked, that it wasn't clear at the time what the motives were of the arsonist, but that nothing he could do would deter me from doing my job as governor. Nothing he could do would deter me from proudly and openly practicing my faith. I told you that day that I was going to be heading to our second Seder, and we did. We had a beautiful Seder together. And I continue to find strength in my faith as we go forward here. I know that there are people out there who want to ascribe their own viewpoints as to what happened here and why. I know there are people out there who want to adopt their own political viewpoints or their own worldviews to what happened and why. I choose not to participate in that. I said after the assassination attempt on the president in Butler, I said in Altoona after we captured the individual who shot and killed the U.S. healthcare CEO, and I said on Sunday that this kind of violence has no place in our society, regardless of what motivates it. This is not how we resolve our differences. And this is not okay. This level of violence has to end. And it has to be roundly condemned by everyone, both political parties, people from all different walks of life. It's not okay. So the prosecutors will ultimately determine what motivated this. The district attorney and the Department of Justice can comment on that further. But right now, I think what we're trying to do is find the good in society, not be deterred from our work, not be deterred from practicing our faith proudly, and to continue to move forward, you know, as parents, and continue to move forward as Governor and First Lady.
What do you make of the third-party review that the state police has announced, and did you ask for that review?
I think it's warranted, and the Colonel and I both think it's warranted, and the Colonel can speak further about how that process will play out.
Did you realize the residence was that vulnerable?
I think the PSP will have to make, will share their assessment on the residents.
Governor, do you feel safe going back to the residence?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Do you feel safe going back to the residence?
I do. And listen, my concern is not just for our family, but for the wonderful staff that work there, for the visitors that go there. Secretary Reggie McNeil, the Department of General Services, is working closely with the state police to ensure that the building, the residence, is fixed quickly, and we can get back to having the staff there, get back to having our family there, and get back to welcoming visitors to the residence. It is very, very important to me, to Secretary McNeil, to Colonel Paris, that this work be done quickly, that steps be taken to strengthen the security at the governor's residence, and that we welcome Pennsylvanians back very soon.
Governor, do you hope that hate crime charges are filed if investigators determine this was an attack against
That's not my
faith?
call. That's the decision for District Attorney Chardo and the Department of Justice. Let me just say a word about the District Attorney. I've known D.A. Chardo for about 20 years. He's a top-notch prosecutor. I have total faith in whatever decision he makes in this case.
Congressman Dan Muser said that the lawsuits and falsehoods that you are spreading about Donald Trump are contributing to this political climate. Do you have a response to that?
He said that?
Yes.
Look, I've said for years, leaders have a responsibility to speak and act with moral clarity. It would appear that the congressman failed to measure up to that.
Governor, do you anticipate any changes to your security detail in terms of the number of people, their operations, or have any changes already been made?
I think those are questions for the state police, and I don't think we're going to get into sharing publicly any specific details there. I do want to say more broadly, I have total faith in the members of my detail and total faith in the Pennsylvania State Police to both learn from this incident and to continue to keep me and my family safe.
Governor, for the millions of Jewish families out there that may themselves have been shaken by this, that they have to talk to their own kids about this, do you have a message for them?
Well, first, I want to thank them for so many of the messages of support they've shared with us. I want them to see that my wife and I and our kids continue to celebrate our faith proudly and openly. I want them to see that people from all different faiths have reached out to condemn this act and to lift up our family in prayer. And that's the Pennsylvania way. Remember, this is a place that was established by William Penn to be warm and welcoming for people of all faiths. Back in the 1600s, he established Pennsylvania for that very purpose. And I am absolutely committed to continuing to ensure that people of all faiths have the ability to practice openly and proudly however they choose to practice.
Governor, did it ever cross your mind that this was even a possibility for something like this to happen at the governor's mansion, surrounded by fencing, security cameras, security details?
When you're in a position like this, with the kind of profile I have in doing this work, you're mindful that there are people out there every day who, want to do you harm. And that is a reality of this world that I live in. It's an unfortunate reality. It shouldn't be that way. But I can tell you that while I'm mindful of that, I don't really spend any time thinking about any kind of specific ways that might manifest itself. In part because you can't be paralyzed by fear. and in part because I've got confidence that the state police will keep me and my family safe. And that's just how I try and go about my work and my business every day. I've got a lot of work to do for 13 million people. I'm honored to do this work, and I'm not going to be captive to fear, and I'm not going to be captive to worry, and I'm not going to think through those scenarios that others might be contemplating to do us harm. I'm just going to go about my work every single day.
No matter what.
Cody Ballmer's family tried getting him help in the days leading up to the arson, and they said that they couldn't get help. Police also confirmed that he didn't meet the threshold. Do you think anything needs to change in how mental health calls are handled?
I don't know about the specifics regarding him. I think that's more of a question for the prosecutors.
However security might change, if it changes at all, my question to you is, do you still want that governor's residence to be a place where public can visit, where events can be held? Some people are wondering if things are going to change to the point where people won't be there anymore.
Tom, it is critically important to me that the residence be a place that is comfortable and safe for me and my family, for our staff, and for visitors all across Pennsylvania who come there. We're going to continue to have the house open to celebrate Halloween and Christmas and many other things. We're going to continue to have a lecture series quarterly, as Lori and I began a couple years ago. We're going to continue to welcome lawmakers and guests, and we're going to try and do that very, very quickly. One of the things I said to Secretary McNeil that next day was that it was important to not only get the place cleaned up and repaired quickly, it was important to me to get people back into the residence quickly, to get visitors to come back, and to make sure that the building continues to be a place where people from all different walks of life are comfortable gathering.
As it stands today, do you know when that might happen?
I'll get both. Okay.
As it stands today, do you know about when that might happen?
I think Secretary McNeil is working very, very quickly, and he'll be happy to give you an update on that. Manuel can arrange for him to walk through with all of you the timeline for that, but it's moving quickly.
And did you all lose any family possessions in this fire, by the way?
I don't know. We had several. That's a good question, Mark. We did have several religious items that we were using for our Seder that were from our personal collection. I know a lot was damaged there. I don't know specifically what, and I don't know if our Seder plates or any of our other materials were damaged, melted, destroyed in the fire. Can let you know that.
They were in that room.
They were. We were using them during our Seder. So we brought Seder plates and other ritual items from our home, from our personal home there, to celebrate with family and the community that we had invited to the Seder there that evening. I think Ford had a question.
It's similar to what Mark was asking. First of all, we're glad you're here having the press conference. We appreciate the one right after the incident.
Thank you.
The room where the fires occurred, there's heavy damage inside. I've been told were some valuable artifacts from elsewhere in the state, artwork, what have you.
Yeah.
Was there a fire suppression system in any part of the mansion, and what things were lost in that room that you know about?
Yeah, I think, I'm trying to very forthrightly answer all of your questions. I don't have an inventory of specifically what was lost. That's why I struggled to answer Mark's question. We are happy to provide that to you. In the state dining room and the state dining room reception room and the state dining room welcome area, there were many artifacts, many pieces that were on loan from the State Museum. I don't know what's been destroyed. That next morning, Secretary McNeil arranged to have the head of the Pennsylvania Historical Museum Commission to the residence to do that assessment and to make sure that any items that could be salvaged would be. And we're happy to give you a full accounting of that, Ford.
Governor, the Harrisburg fire chief said yesterday that he Brian and I encountered your family, and he was hoping that encounter would help you see how important fire services are and perhaps for funding. If not that, this very personal experience that happened to you, is that going to change any of your policies or something you saw that, wow, maybe I need to focus on that? Or has that changed your views in any way?
If you go back and, well, first off, let me take a step back. I want to answer your question sort of sequentially. Throughout my entire career, I have been a strong supporter of our firefighters and fire services, both in terms of policies that I support, that we passed, that I fixed my name on into law, whether it's the cancer presumption law of the last session or the historic funding I proposed in my budget just a few months ago for our firefighters. So I've always been a strong supporter of our firefighters and will continue to be. So my policy views will not change. I will share with you that in one of the many conversations Lori and the kids and I had that next morning, the kids actually said, we really want to do something for those firefighters who came on the scene, and they were there quickly. And my kids all interacted with them that night when we were standing outside as they were putting out the fire. And right around that time, a good friend, Chef Robert Irvine, who does extraordinary work for first responders and veterans all across the globe, reached out and said, hey, if there's anything we can do to help, let me know. So tomorrow, or Thursday, tomorrow I think, Lori and the kids and I are going to be with Chef Irvine serving lunch to all of the firefighters from the Harrisburg Bureau of Fire as a way to not only thank them for what they did for our family this weekend and what they did at the governor's residence, but for what they do every single day to serve our community.
To ask directly, you've talked about it, but to ask directly, do you believe that you were targeted because of your faith?
I think that's a question for the prosecutors to determine what the mens rea, what the motivation was for this crime. It's not for me to answer.
And have you asked internally? Like how this could happen? Have you asked PSP and?
We're having a lot of conversations with PSP, and they are doing a number of things. Number one, having an independent review of all security measures. Number two, taking concrete steps to improve our security measures. And I have confidence that they will both learn from this, make the changes that need to be made to keep my family and the Davis family safe, and that we'll be stronger going forward.
Brian, if you had an opportunity to speak to the suspect, what would you say?
I really haven't thought about that, and I trust he'll be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, as District Attorney Chardo has said.
Do one more here.
Brian,
The question of the fire suppression, I'm not sure if you answered. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to ask about the fire suppression. So
I'm sorry, I didn't answer that. Your question was?
Was there a fire suppression system, not just in the room with the artwork, but the entire?
I don't know, but Secretary McNeil can provide all of that for you. Okay.
I was going to ask about Brian Interline said that having a fire suppression system or a sprinkler system in place would have extinguished that.
Yeah.
Is that going to be part of the upgrades or like the rebuilding?
Secretary McNeil can answer all of those questions for you relative to the systems that were in place in the residence and what changes will be made going forward. And I'm sure Manuel can make the Secretary available to all of you later today or tomorrow to answer those questions.
Governor, discussing this with your children, was there a particular question that you found most challenging to answer?
Obviously I want to keep the specifics of my conversations with my children private, but I think just in general it's very hard as a parent to answer to children like, why does this kind of stuff happen in life? Forget targeting me or my family or the governor's residence, but why are there people out there that want to do harm to others? And those are hard questions to answer for kids. And I don't proclaim to have a monopoly on good answers. I'm sure there are other parents out there who could do a much better job of explaining that to their kids. I think the most important thing I can do for my kids right now is to answer the specifics that I know so that they have the information they need, and to just hug them a lot, kiss them a lot, and let them know that they're safe and that they're going to be okay. and just get them back into their normal routine as much as possible.
Did you hear from President Trump at all after this?
I haven't, no.
Police said that Bulmer had, that he said on his 911 call that he will not take part in your plans for what you want to do to the Palestinian people. What do you make of that? What does that mean?
I don't know. I think that's a question for prosecutors to determine what he meant by that, and to prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Hey, I just want to say to all of you who are there Sunday and today, I know we interact with one another very regularly. I always try and answer your questions. I want to say thank you for the personal sentiments that you've shared with me and my family. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the sensitivity within which you ask the questions and you all go about doing your jobs every day. So thank you. Okay. See y'all later.